Hi, I'm Professor Beck Strah.
And I'm Professor Eric Bronson, and this is Prison Breakdown.
2, 3, break!
Hate to spoil his fun, but we're gonna bust out of here.
2, 3, break!
I'm locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
2, 3, break!
I can honestly say I'm a changed man. No danger to society here. God's honest truth.
2, 3, break!
I'm not leaving this cell. I'll get out my way. The right way.
2, 3, break!
Ahoy, dudes. Welcome back to another episode of Prison Breakdown. I am your co-host, Beck Strah, joined here today in the flesh with my co-host, Eric.
Ahoy. Ahoy. How you doing? Everybody good?
Outstanding. How are you?
Excellent. No complaints here on my end. Everything is good.
Let's also
complain. How about let's
shout
bring
out
in
our,
producer Britt out there in the West Coast.
Hello.
the producer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Now, let me ask you two. Who you got on this year's Super Bowl? Who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl?
We gotta think about one thing here real quick before we start talking about our predictions. Is we have to think about whether or not, because this came up in my class this past semester about whether or not inmates should be allowed to even watch the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, of course. When they have so few joys in this life,
right?
Why would we not?
Exactly. That's what I said to her. I told her, I said, this is something that, leading up to it, you're going to have a well-behaved cell block because they all want to watch it, right?
Yes.
I mean,
oh yeah,
you're taking something simple away from them that brings them all kinds of joy. Why wouldn't you allow them to watch it?
It's like having a babysitter. I remember working on days when the Super Bowl was on, and everyone's like well behaved. Everyone is just sitting there watching the game for hours of your day. So you, as a corrections officer, get a load off because your job is easy. Worst case scenario, they're gambling, and they're gambling soups or stamps or whatever. And we can't stop everything, and it's not even our jobs to stop everything. I'm there to keep safety and security.
Right.
That's it.
Well, can you imagine the fallout if we did not allow them to watch the Super Bowl? What that next couple weeks would be like?
It would be a lot of complaining and a lot of, who didn't actually get to watch the Super Bowl was Aaron Hernandez. I remember reading that about him. And when the Patriots were in the Super Bowl, so he didn't get to see his team play. He had to hear about it from like people yelling it across the tier.
All right. Oh.
But if we want to like reinforce good behavior, that's great. Let them out. Let them watch the Super Bowl. Who really cares that much?
Yeah. No.
It was. Right. Is there anything we really shouldn't allow them to watch that's on basic cable?
No. I give them access.
Reruns of Prison Break, that's maybe.
Ridiculous.
Oh yeah, what if somebody got a tattoo on their body of the prison while they're in prison and figured out a way to escape based on that tattoo? I think that's what we would have to worry about.
Put a little red X on there. Escape here.
yeah, like a treasure map.
Yeah, exactly.
Britt, how come you don't have any treasure map tattoos?
No. Who says I don't?
No.
They're just in places you can't see them.
Oh.
Well, for the Super Bowl, I don't. This is a fun one going this year. We got a lot of really good teams still remaining.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll have some good games going forward. But I don't know, boy. It could be another fun year of Denver and New England playing to get into the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I kind of think that San Francisco Seattle game is going to produce the NFC representative, but
Seattle's going to trounce them. I'm not a big football fan. But
what's that?
Seattle is so good this year. It's absurd. My pick for the Super Bowl is I'm going to say Seattle. Here's one most people aren't going to expect. Seattle Jaguars with Seattle to win.
Britt, let me ask you. Living in Seattle, I have many friends who are Seattle fans.
Jaguars what now?
They're out already.
Oh, are they? I didn't know that. Shit. Well,
yes.
Yeah, but what if they came back?
They lost this week.
My prediction is now the Jaguars to
we'll
win.
revive them.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, Seattle Broncos with Seattle to win.
Yeah.
And now, Britt, are you
that would
by the Seahawks fandom as I am? Because it's so annoying.
Yeah, they're the worst fans we have in Seattle. Although, some Supersonics fans that still exist are giving them a run for their money every now and again.
Trying to bring them back.
Yeah. I mean, the way they did that was like not cool at all. And like, I believe the lawsuit's still open from the Starbucks CEO against the NFL or not the NFL, the NBA, because they said, hey, we're going to keep the team in Seattle. And then they just unceremoniously moved them to OKC.
It's up and left.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, speaking about that money aspect, the NFL is really hoping for, the Patriots against Los Angeles. That brings in the big market. Got coast versus coast. That excites. Or maybe, Chicago against against New England, because that would be a big market. Yeah. The Seattle market isn't that when they get those small market teams and they start crying. Right. Like, and Seattle would be a lot bigger team if it weren't for their, age-old kind of rivalry with Oregon. Because, as I understand it, less than half of people in Oregon are Seahawks fans. Most of them side with the 49ers. Interesting.
Oregon needs their own team.
No, they
what
don't.
You're saying?
No, they definitely don't.
Yeah.
That would just be more annoying Seahawks fans to a different team. So the Seahawks fans are like Patriots fans, but the Patriots would win games and Super Bowls.
Right.
They're like the same level of annoying.
I mean, when the Seahawks are good, they're the best team. In the early mid 2000s, there was a couple years there, the beast mode years that were absolutely insane.
Oh, the branding was so annoying then. Like the 12th fan thing, it made me hate the Seahawks even more. Beast mode.
Do you regret that tattoo you got?
Yes, I do. I got my whole body
12
like a jersey
on your back hip.
I can't take it off. And Eric, how about your team, the Cleveland Browns out of Ohio?
Yeah, definitely the worst run organization in all of professional sports, without a doubt. There's nobody even comes close. It is just perpetual. I don't know how you just mismanage a team for most of my life. They're unbelievably bad. Anyways, and no matter what they do, they pick wrong. They put the wrong people out there in the field. They hire incorrect people. Anyways, it's hard damn work being a Cleveland sports fan. I mean, just being a fan of anything in Cleveland's difficult because it's such a horrible place because it's in Ohio.
Now, as far as prison sports, why don't we have a team that's made up like a federal team from the Bureau of Prisons? Made up. They can just add them to the roster, make them another team.
That would be great.
That would generate excitement.
Here's what I want to know though. What would be their nickname or their mascot? Like they'd be the BOP what? Felons, the BOP convicts, the BOP. What do we call them?
Britt, you got something clever?
I mean, I think like the BOP stripes would be cool, and then they wear like the old style prison outfits with the stripes.
I love it.
I think that'd be
so
They
pretty
look
cool.
too much like the refs though.
True.
One would disguise themselves as a ref. And
Well, I mean,
like,
it's horizontal versus vertical. Like as long as you can tell the difference there.
I can't. I don't see color like that.
Well, yeah, I don't see color vertically.
Here's what would happen. The issue we'd run into then is, people are so desperate to play in the NFL that we would have people committing crimes federally so that they could get into that federal prison and play for the team BOP.
That's true. Well,
Yeah.
we've had, as we discussed in our Jocktober event, we've had several people from the NFL go into prison. So this would be an outlet for them to use their athleticism, and maybe they don't get paid, but maybe their salary would go to charity or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Well, here's
restoration.
the other fun thing. Why don't we just develop the all prison league and every state can throw together a football team and we'll just, I mean, that would definitely, that would sell.
That would sell.
If we pitch that, pitch that to Jake Paul, one of those morons with their horrible YouTube channels
and lots of money.
That would sell. Yeah. I mean, that would get the folks on Barstool talking that, this weekend, we got the folks from over in Cal at, whatever prison they're playing out of, traveling to Nevada to play them. I mean, people would be interested, and Vegas would put odds on it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's like an ethical way that prisons would or could make money.
Absolutely.
Ethical? I mean, it is exploitation. Like it's physical exploitation.
It's exploitation. If the inmates aren't getting paid, so there's nothing that they're getting paid. They're playing purely out of love of the game, and they have all the safety precautions that other NFL players would get. I could make an argument that it's not so much exploitation at that level.
But I don't know, but if someone gets injured, yeah, of course they're taken care of, but it's still exploitation. You exploited their body in order to make money, and they didn't get paid.
But if it's like going to pay the victim or some in some way giving back to society, I could make more of an argument for it.
But then that has an equitability problem, whereas if you have sports talent, then you can get restitution, whereas if you don't, then your wages are garnished for the rest of your life. I don't know. Seems
it's not 1-to-1. It's not 1-to-1. I totally understand your concerns with it. I'm trying to think of an argument that would make it a feasible idea, though.
Something that
I'm in the sales department.
Yeah, something that could make it a feasible idea is if you set up this league, but then also for prison jobs paid a living wage instead of 10 cents an hour or whatever it is.
Oh yeah. Like unionize inmates and get them actually especially when you see inmates who are coding, making $24 an hour or something like that, and everyone else is making 50 cents an hour. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Have people band together, unionize, and then give everybody a better wage so they don't have to work 10 hours for one ramen.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds much more reasonable.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But all right, the idea's out there. We put it in your hands, Jake Paul, and do with it what you will.
Yeah.
Make it. I'm sure they'll find a way to make it terrible, but it's an idea.
I was gonna put it on TV alongside Mr. Beast's show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of thing.
See who can stand inside the circle the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what Mr. Beast's show is?
It's stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The challenges. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't say I've ever seen it. He's one of those people who I find so uninteresting that I've never bothered to look at any of his work.
Yeah, how he became like the most watched YouTuber on Earth is baffling to me. Like he's
It's because he was having what appeared to be simple contests where he'd give away stupid amounts of money.
Yes, correct.
Like the last person inside, touching this vehicle gets the vehicle and $50,000, and then he just kept, and so people would want to watch. And
yeah, he's doing like what like radio hosts were doing in the 1990s. He's just putting it on film.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. We need an economy of radio show hosts from the 1990s, like making people do challenges.
Definitely. That's definitely healthy for our world and culture.
Yeah. If we don't have that, who will we do? Like, why challenges will just go away. People won't challenge themselves anymore, and we will sink into complacency.
Right.
And then the United States will sink into the ocean. You see?
Yep, I see.
Yeah. Sinking.
All right, good. We're already a sinking ship.
Yeah.
But you know what's not a sinking ship is this podcast and our sponsor, Roger Williams University.
Roger Williams University. Oh, love it. Yeah. What do we have there in the Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies?
Well, we have programs in legal studies. We have programs in criminal justice.
Yes, you do.
Forensic sciences.
I think he's looking up the answers.
Mm-hmm.
We have sociology and anthropology. We have political science. What else do we have, Eric?
International relations.
Cool.
What about Brit's favorite?
Oh, you mean
Leadership. Public administration.
Keep going.
I think we nailed them all.
cool?
Okay, that's cool. I like that. Well, thank you, Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies. We salute you. We thank you for your patronage. Now, shall we move on to the main event?
Let's do it.
Here's part 3 and your final part on manipulation. So we've talked about ways that inmates will ensnare corrections officers, how they exploit vulnerability, how they look for someone who might be more vulnerable to manipulation. And it doesn't make you a bad person if you're vulnerable to manipulation. These are things to be aware of if you're working in a prison. Be aware of the inmate who's trying to manipulate you and don't give into it because they can be tricky. Now, let's talk about one of their strategies that's called the offer of protection.
Ooh.
So inmates will approach corrections officers and they'll give you this old spiel of, I can't believe the prison doesn't support you enough to provide blank. But I know someone who can provide it for you. And they're going to make a suggestion that you're not being treated properly by the people that you work for. It's like we talked about last time, this like we/they syndrome. So they're going to suggest, hey, maybe you're not being treated fairly by your peers, but inmates like you, they even might see you as a friend, and they're going to be the ones to treat you right, like Eric Bronson would.
Well, here's the fun thing about that is who out there in the world be like, hey, these folks that I work for, they do a great job of taking care of me. It's such an easy in that everybody who works in the Department of Corrections should expect that from an inmate at least once in their career. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Inmates cozying up to you and oh, if anything goes wrong, I'm going to take the blame. So you, the officer, won't get in any trouble. And like they might do this with a coercive idea, like protecting an officer after the officer faced a dangerous situation. Like an inmate is coming at the officer with some harmful intent, and then the manipulating inmate steps in and goes, "No, stop, offender." And so inmates can manufacture these dangerous situations where somebody approaches you with looking like they're going to harm you, and then the inmate steps in, just showing their loyalty and how they're going to protect you, so that you're going to feel indebted to them and treat them differently and treat them with like favoritism and more deference, like when it comes to rule breaking. And that's just such a step toward manipulation. And it's so manipulative to even put you in that situation where they would that they would manufacture a situation where it looks like you're going to be harmed, and then they step in. But crazier things have happened. So that's the offer of protection. We also have allusions to sex. Now, Eric, in working in prisons, did inmates ever talk to you about sex in any context?
No, I don't remember anything like that at all. But I do know of situations where they did talk with other staff about it, and at the institution I was at, and they did we did have one staff member enter into a relationship with an inmate, and when the inmate served out, the officer stepped down, resigned his position, and they moved in together.
Oh, that's nice. Did they live happily ever after? Was it that kind of thing?
As far as I know, it's they were, I think they were both in their late 40s. So maybe they were at a point in their life where they realized they wanted to settle down.
It's still a coercive relationship because you have power over someone else.
Absolutely. Right.
But I hope they found some kind of equity in the relationship and more egalitarian means of carrying it through. But in prison relationships between officers and inmates, so like between male inmates and female staff, inmates can develop these like overly familiar friendships with the staff that they're trying to victimize and create images of themselves that oppose this idea that they're looking for sex. But when their friendship hits the level where they can finally reference sex, they drop it in there. Like, for example, an inmate might say something like an inmate might say something like, "Last night while we were playing cards, this guy at the table, he said it was only you, and if it was only you and him in the housing unit, you would have sex with him." But no, I said that would never happen. I put him in his place and told him you're not like that, and that he needs to shut up because you're better than that. Sorry, if I'm the inmate talking like this, what is he doing tactically?
That's a fun one. Busting in on that emotional side and appearing as a hero at the same time while making things sexual. That is a really interesting technique there.
It is, right? Like it's broaching the idea of sex, but also making themselves the hero. The reference is directed away from the manipulator, where they're assuring the victim, I'm not a guy like that. And instead they're putting someone in their place who thinks that they are. And the staff member's anger gets directed toward this fake individual that the inmate made up, and not the inmate steering the manipulation. So if the staff member says nothing more on the topic, that opens the door for more comments and allusions to sex. And if she responds to it with something like, "I need the inmate's name and number. I got to report this guy to my supervisor. If what you were saying is true, I will arrange your work hours so that you are only here when others are present. I don't appreciate talk like that. I don't appreciate hearing about it." You need to say something like that to close the door, because otherwise the inmate, if you don't say anything, the inmate's going to see that as an open door and keep stepping forward. You have to conclude any attempts at manipulation.
That's a tough one, because for an individual to be able to identify that person as being manipulative and trying to create some type of emotional instability in the person so that they can prey on them like that, that's a tough one, man. That's a good example that you brought up.
Oh yeah. And if Also, if there's any like positive response or there's like laughter, say I'm the staff member and I laugh at this thing, the inmate's likely to keep going. Inmates get more respect. Right. They get more status from other people in the prison population if it comes out that they effectively compromised an employee of the prison. So they get something out of this socially. They might get something out of this sexually. So it's in their interest to keep going. Now, we don't get as many male inmates propositioning male staff, but those incidents do happen. Inmates can also use like dirty jokes or pornographic stories with male corrections officers as an attempt to get them to relate personal information. So, as always, like just keep your personal life out of the institution. That's one way to do it. Now, the next strategy I'm going to review is called the touch system. So inmates will touch people, but mostly it's often male inmates touching female officers. If they touch male employees, it's mostly like a pat on the back, putting a hand on the shoulder, or handshakes. Touching female employees is less obvious, and they have to exercise more caution. It will often start with something very small, like flicking, hey, oh, you have some dust on your collar or on your coat. And then it becomes more frequent if the inmate and the staff member are alone. And if the staff member makes no comments about inappropriateness, this can lead to like a trip and oops, I touched your breast. And if she reports it to her supervisors, it's all over. And if she doesn't report it to her supervisors, inmates may try to get more serious with the touching. Inmates will also try to fortify themselves in these situations with sympathetic stories. Like, oh man, I'm having a really hard day. I just found out my dog died. Can I have a hug? Like I really could just use a hug right now. And by getting a hug out of an employee, that leaves the door open for more future contact, which is to the detriment of the staff. Another way inmates will try and isolate corrections officers and staff is the rumor clinic, the old rumor mill. And this is another offshoot of this like we, they tactic where it's us and them. And so inmates are trying to peel off any social support that you have as a staff member from within the system because they're trying to isolate corrections officers and staff. And rumors is a way to do this. And what they do, they get enough information about someone and they try to create a rumor that sounds truthful enough and people will believe it. But if you're unsuccessful, you will look like an idiot. So there's a very good officer I worked with who I liked her and respect her. And I started to hear this rumor, or it was more of a rumor, where an inmate had alleged that the two of them went on a date together to Subway. And I knew her as a lesbian and a vegan and knew that there was no way that this possibly could have happened. The inmate did not have enough information on her to make a successful rumor, but it can be really damning if he did have that kind of information. And that's a fun one. Quickly.
We went on a hot and heavy date to Subway.
Yeah, it could have been more creative. Like pick a restaurant that's not Subway.
Made fresh, right? And what's their stupid? Isn't it something about being fresh?
It's about Jared. It's about wearing the big pants and then wearing the small pants. It's but it is Subway. Eat fresh. You are correct.
Eat fresh. That's what it is. Come here and have some soggy bread.
Honestly, I want to dislike Subway. I can't. I find it delicious, and I know I'm wrong. I know it's soggy. I know it's bad. I'm wrong. Everyone else who dislikes Subway is right. But
shame on you.
I know. I believe me. I'm on your side. I'm on your side. I don't want to like it.
Shame.
So the whole practice of starting rumors, though, it's about planting seeds of doubt with your coworkers. And a bad rumor about you makes you sound like a fuck up or a loser. And when people think that you are a loser, it isolates you. And the inmates will come in.
I had a very silly one.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
It was pure nonsense. When I first started at the institution, somebody made up the rumor that I was the son of the director of recreation at the institution. And that, so I was working with my mom.
Oh, and did your mom disprove this?
Well, yeah, what's absolutely, I mean, we didn't have the same names. We didn't look anything alike. I mean, I don't know how this got started, but there were all kinds of people saying, "Hey, you got family here, huh?" No, no, I don't. Yeah, that's your mom over there. No, it's not.
Why don't you just lean into a rumor like that? Something like that feels so harmless that it's like, sure, why not? Yeah, that's my mom.
Yep.
So inmates will like when you feel effectively isolated from rumors going around like this, inmates will come in and be like, no, we don't believe the rumors. Like they're treating you like they treat us. We're your friends. We wouldn't treat you like that. But when they're the ones who started the rumors in the first place. So it's a tactic to get corrections officers isolated, and then they swoop in and save the day when it's really just manipulating you further. We also have jailhouse turnout. In prison jargon, this is an inmate selected by his peers to function as a male prostitute and forced into submission against their will. Turnout, though, can also refer to corrections officers who get coerced into supplying inmates with contraband or with favors, services. And up until this point, inmates haven't actually broken any laws. And this is where they cross that line. Like they can manipulate you, they can start rumors, they can touch your shoulder or talk about sex, and there's no actual breaking of laws or like hard rules. But when they petition you to break the law and bring in something, that's where they're really crossing lines. And they have to be really confident at the point that they're petitioning you for this, that it's going to work out in their favor. It's some cat and mouse shit though. They're going to like just let you free and then catch you again, like the inmates do here.
Yeah.
And corrections officers, they may not realize that all these isolation tactics that we've discussed now and in the past couple episodes, they can be used in tandem in different parts of the facility. So inmates can coordinate and use many of these tactics together. So they might be starting a rumor about you while another inmate like puts his hand on your shoulder. Like they can use these together, which has the effect of effectively isolating someone and making them feel like they're alone and their coworkers don't care about them. So inmates can coordinate, they can work through word of mouth, they can meet in chapel and whisper down the line. And this is where inmates make their interactions and let their intentions be known, though, when they're trying to turn someone out. And if the victim refuses when inmates are applying these psychological screws, the inmate might be more inclined to use force. And that's also something you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, and then as a staff member, as soon as you start to feel, that isolation, you start to feel a little powerless, that might lead to staff member being, having some anxiety, maybe a little depression about work, and then that leads to them becoming confused about, who they can trust on a daily basis, and maybe they can trust this inmate. So it's a little cycle that inmates who are really good manipulators can really kind of kick off there.
Totally. And it will totally test your allegiances. And hey, if I feel like my coworkers are talking shit about me, but inmates are nice to me, that can make someone much more inclined to lean in that direction. And that's not necessarily a good thing, especially when inmates have an end goal in mind. Often they're not doing it out of altruism or friendliness. And one of the main reasons that inmates manipulate is to obtain contraband. Everything has been to this end. They're going to test you, support you, show friendship and concern about your life. It's all getting to the same goals. And shopping lists are going to vary often across gender, where like male staff, they're trying to get drugs, alcohol, money, weapons, sometimes like a cell phone or some kind of like sexual act. But with female victims, sex almost always comes first on their shopping list. Sex, then drugs, then alcohol or money. And this part really exposes the whole thing. Like, you're compromised as soon as you hear the request from an inmate. And most people appropriately respond with shock and disbelief. Like, how could this be happening to me? And inmates who are making a request or coercing someone into an act, they know that they're on the hook for discipline if they even drop it. So there's no backing out of this. And so inmates used what's called the lever. This is inmates applying pressure. They're trying to force corrections officers to respond to them. So they did their job. They dropped all these rumors. They made corrections officers think that they're on their side, and they hit all these pressure points. And then they use that pressure to coerce employees into breaking the law. And so that lever can be found anywhere in the setup that we talked about. But if an employee meets their demands, the inmate never mentions the lever. And if the staff refuses their demands, the manipulator can remind them, hey, remember, you have committed some indiscretions. You did give me gum that one day, and they can threaten to expose them if they don't follow orders. Or like, hey, remember how I asked you to mail that card for me and you did that outside the institution? Remember how I asked you to like pick up that inhaler for my wife from the pharmacy? These activities are banned from any institution. You can't bring anything in for inmates. You can't like bring stuff to their families on the outside. So inmates use these as levers, and it leads to favoritism, looking the other way for infractions, bringing contraband. The inmates are running you at this point, and you are just an agent of the inmates rather than an agent of the institution.
So there's no bringing in birthday donuts or cupcakes or baking a cake for them or any of that fun stuff like that. You just nothing, not mini candy bars after, leftover candy from Halloween, nothing. Don't bring that stuff in.
Do you remember, I don't know if you ever watched DuckTales when you were younger, but the Beagle Boys were the antagonists in DuckTales, and they'd be locked up in jail, and someone would bring them like a cake, but it would be a cake with like a saw shape like baked into it. And right. I wonder if anyone's ever actually attempted something like that. I doubt it has, but I would love to read a story about this. Now, so if you don't respond to coercion demands and any kind of fear applying tactics, inmates are going to put the screws to you. They're going to be more likely to respond with force. And inmates, for employees who get victimized in the way that the inmates are doing here with this lever, if the staff complies, the inmates are going to say, hey, as long as everything goes smoothly, there's no more requests. And that's a lie. Like, it's like any blackmailer. They're going to come back to the well. They're going to want more. And as they put additional pressures on staff, we start to see personalities shift. They change. Victims become more quiet. They socialize with their peers less. The job gets to be an unbearable burden, and showing up for work even feels like an effort. And we here at the podcast, me, Bronson, producer Britt, we recognize that helping inmates rehabilitate is so important, and it's okay to show compassion for other people while you're at your job. But you have to go through the primary channels provided the department. And stepping outside of those channels can make so much trouble for you that it's really not worth it. It's going to screw up your whole life. So we have all these measures, and then we also have the sting. It all culminates in the sting, like the film. The employee is told, do as you're told, or you're going to be harmed. The inmate's goal is achieving dominance, force, threatening force. And when we get to this stage, the decisions are essentially, you have to comply with the inmates, you could resign, or you could take the risk and expose the inmates involved. And there's different ways that this has gone out. Like, corrections officers brought in whiskey for inmates. You get caught, lose your job. And there was a cook who's like, I'm not going to bring in drugs for you. And inmates tried to boil him in a 150-gallon steam vat. But he gets saved by corrections officers who heard a scuffle in the kitchen.
That just sounds awful.
Right? I mean, at least he lived, but like, to have the fear of thinking you're going to be boiled alive is that's something that doesn't go away.
No, that's awful.
Now, what do you think happens to manipulators if they get caught? What are your guesses? Let's hear from both of you.
My guess is not much. What like you were saying a minute ago, they haven't broken too many of the rules. They haven't broken too many of the laws. Nothing of it's very serious. It's not violent. So I can't imagine much. Maybe a transfer to a different cell block, or maybe even a different unit. I don't know. I can't imagine there's much done to them. I think it's a pretty low risk endeavor for the inmates.
Britt, what do you think?
I don't know, 30 days in the hole.
Like both of you are right with like not that much for consequences. There's plausible deniability on the inmate's part, and everything up until they like are trying to coerce you into doing something against the law. Everything is circumstantial or it's based on suspicions, and you can't do shit with that. And polygraphs are not very useful there either. Like polygraphs are based on your physiological responses, like your blood pressure, your pulse, and all that. And they find that the success rate with using polygraphs with potential manipulators is only like 50%. Even if an inmate fails a polygraph, there's not enough to take any kind of disciplinary action unless there's actual rule violations, and they haven't actually violated the rules yet. So they're hard to catch until that very last step. That's part of the problem with manipulation is there's no foolproof way of detecting it, and there's no, even if you do detect it, like there's not much you can do. There's not much in terms of sanctions, so inmates can just do it again.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is for the inmate, mentioning that it's a low stakes, attempt to do something by the inmate. It's extremely high risk for the employee, for the staff member, because if they start to engage in any of this behavior, and they get caught, whatever it might be, that loss of their job, possible arrest. That's as high stakes as it gets.
Right? Possible arrest, huge. This could be life changing for you. You lose your career, you lose your retirement. Right. Like all these things are hanging over your head. Whereas the inmate has maybe like, I don't know, if they get caught and strongly suspected of something, 30 days in the hole, that kind of thing.
And then as an ex-officer or ex-staff member, how do you recover? Where do you go from that? Where you go in and apply for what happened in your last job? Why did you leave? I took contraband into an inmate. Yeah, where do you go from there?
I would not like that person is much harder to trust. And granted, as the hiring individual, like you don't know the circumstances, but it makes them look untrustworthy, whoever they are.
Right.
Like they lack loyalty to whatever the institution is that you're running. So in terms of what we can do, there's a handful of tips. This book, Games Inmates Play, offers to help employees professionally and support inmate progress without falling for their traps. So you can learn to recognize the steps in the setup that we talked about and nip that in the bud. You also have to understand that communication in prisons and jails really differs from how it works in free society. Like in free society, if someone talks to you, like you're shopping and someone talks to you, they probably don't have any agenda at all. But employees at prisons constantly have to monitor inmate remarks and be cautious of what they put into their own responses. So you have to be very aware at all times of like what you are saying, what you're putting out there to inmates. It's also really important to learn to say no and mean it. And Eric, how are you at saying no? You have kids.
Terrible.
Just run roughshod over you.
I'm the worst. Well, it's not just my kids; it's everybody in life. I mean, I want people to be happy. So hard to say no. Now, when I worked at the institution or when I worked at the mental health facility, that was very different. It was easy. The job says so. Gotta say no.
Point to policy. No, that would piss off my sergeant. Say something like that. Like you have things that you can lean on, like that are established rules. Right. So learn to say no and mean it. It can be difficult. It's necessary, but do it politely. Use a firm stance in conviction. Not, well, I would, but but the rules say no. Just say no. And you can avoid generating animosity. Like I said no to inmates plenty, and as long as you're polite about it and firm, like they're going to be okay. It tells inmates where they stand and where you draw the line. And you also have to be in command of your area, of your unit, or whatever you're working. You're still learning all this when you're new, but you have to look to other prison staff. You're seeking information when you're learning the job. You're learning from other people. If I don't know what to do in a certain situation, I'm going to call a coworker. Hey, what should I do? I haven't encountered this before. Or I'll talk to a sergeant while I'm on my lunch break. Hey, Sarge, here's what I ran into. But you're learning, and you're not learning from inmates. You want to save yourself any future embarrassment. And just be consistent in application and fair to people, following the rules. You can maintain this like pleasant and consistent personality and set aside any kind of nonsense inmates are putting out there to take charge.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that's a really good point where you talk about learning from staff member, finding those senior staff members that have gone through the same thing, and listening to their experiences and their stories about what made them successful staff member, how important that is. Really, really important when you're starting out to be able to find people like that are willing to be your mentor while you're getting going there.
Totally. Reach out to someone you trust. It can be your field training officer. It can be a sergeant. It can be even a peer, a friend. Hey, I haven't run into this before. Maybe you have. What would you do? But you're not alone. And the more you reach out to other staff members, the more you build a bridge to them and make yourself part of the community where you can rely on other people, and they're less likely to believe that you are giving into inmate demands. Now, another thing you can do is, if an inmate is acting funny or just you think manipulation's in the works, look at their files. Like, it's important to know who you're dealing with if you're offering any kind of day-to-day help or guidance. And when offering to help an inmate with something, you have to also consider, is this part of my job? Like, am I just offering them a suggestion, or is this inmate taking this like it's friend to friend? Because we don't encourage like this friend to friend relationship. We encourage more,
right?
Like, I can offer you guidance because I'm being professional and I want you to live a better life, but I'm not your friend.
Right. A respectful professional relationship, but not a friend.
Not a friend. And also be aware of institutional procedures, get to know your rule book, and avenues that inmates can use to pursue needs that are not covered. Like, if they need like a soap or something, often that will be on hand in the unit. And inmates can usually get anything reasonable that they need, but their wants are not always covered. If they want something that they hit you up for, it's not a need. If it's not provided by the institution, you're not providing it for them. Another way to deal with this, if someone's trying to play you and cultivate you for manipulation, just tell someone. Let the inmate know this is out in the open. If you're keeping a secret between two people, one person can take liberties and blow the whole situation wide open. And if I get this out in the open, the whole setup is a bust.
No, that's a great point. If you say something, especially to your immediate supervisor, just say something like, "Hey, inmate so and so's brought this up," and as soon as that's mentioned, like it's out in the open. It's not something that's being secret, because as long as it's kept a secret, then it's a real issue.
Yeah. But if you put it out there and the inmate knows the jig is up, then they got nothing. They got nothing left to gain.
Well, and then the other thing, a lot of inmates are looking for that easy target for that. And if they think there's any way that you're going to be a difficult target, that you're going to be hard to manipulate, they will move on to that next staff member.
Exactly. Let them know that you're not available.
Right.
You can also write inmates up for violating minor rules. If they're like trying to test the waters and establish a pattern of manipulative behavior, write them up for violating minor rules if you think they're trying to play you. And you can also write up informational reports on inmates. It's not requesting any administrative action. It's just saying it's exposing the inmate. If someone threatens me or asks me to do something illicit, note that. It alerts other staff. Hey, something's up with this cat. Let's be aware.
Yeah. Keep an eye on this one.
So we can write disciplinary reports, and staff will always be alone when inmates approach with a shopping list that has illegal demands. You can say something like, "Oh, I need time to think it over. Give me time to get the stuff." And then when you leave the unit, report them immediately. And if you make a direct refusal to inmates at this time, it puts you in danger. It puts your safety at risk. It can force inmates in using stronger measures. And that's the last thing we want, because then your safety's at risk, and nobody wants that. We want everyone to go home safe at the end of the day.
Right.
So those are the ways of protecting yourself. That's all I've got on manipulation.
Nice.
Are there any other thoughts on this topic? that we wish to share?
No, but I do think anytime we're talking about manipulation, we got to throw in everybody's favorite manipulation word that is viral right now that everyone overuses: gaslighting. Gaslighting.
Oh, gaslighting. Yes.
Gaslighting. Gaslighting.
So let's move on to the next section. A little something I like to call the movie minute.
Indeed.
Movie minute. Movie minute. 60 seconds with producer Britt to talk about movies.
All right, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. So, last time, Judge Strah here sentenced me to watch 1984's Night of the Comet. So, Night of the Comet is a film from 1984 written and directed by Tom Eberhardt. Probably best known is the writer-director of Captain Ron and I Was a Teenage Faust. The movie stars a cast of some of my favorite B-movie actors, including Catherine Mary Stewart from The Apple and Weekend at Bernie's, Kelly Maroney from Chopping Mall and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and Robert Beltran from Eating Raoul and Star Trek Voyager, where he played the worst character in Star Trek ever, Chakotay. The movie starts as a comet passes by Earth, causing an extinction-level event with cosmic zombies. Sisters Reggie and Sam are two of the only survivors left and quickly find themselves out of their depth when a science organization starts coming after them. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I wasn't even sure really where it was going until the third act, when a bunch of stuff is revealed, raising the stakes of the movie significantly. The script is good, the acting serviceable, and the direction is actually quite good, with a handful of incredibly well-done cinematic shots amidst the schlock of a low-budget apocalypse film. Overall, I thought this movie punched way above its weight class with just a $700,000 budget, against which the movie made $14 million, making it a pretty wild success and keeping it firmly in the cult status until today, which I think is well-deserved. It's not perfect, but it's fun, tells a unique story. 3 out of 5 soups, and that's Night of the Comet. So, does anyone have something to sentence me to for the next go around? What do you got, Bronson? What do you got?
I got a horrible sentence for you. I mean, this one's going to be painful, without a doubt. You're going to really be, upset with me after this.
Oh, no.
I don't think you've seen it, but I just happened to be scrolling through the list, and this is something that, back in early 2000 that I do remember watching and being really disappointed in. So I know you, with a much higher cinema standard than I have, will also be. It's a movie called Half Past Dead, and it stars Steven Seagal. So you know immediately.
I saw this movie in the theater back in the day. I was really into Steven Seagal for a while. I mean, given that was like over 20 years ago, right? It's
right.
Like a 2003 film or something like that.
Yeah, something 2002, 2003, exactly.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw this one. If I recall, like the big line in the film is like Steven Seagal is like, "Hey, we're all right," and then was it DMX who stars opposite him? Is that right? Or was that?
Ja Rule and
there
Morris Chestnut.
There we go. So Ja Rule, like he's Steven Seagal is like, "Yeah, we're all right, man," and Ja Rule is like, "Nah, man, we aight."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It's but I will definitely watch that one gleefully and report back on it, because it's been a good
it's
2 decades since I've seen it.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful.
Well,
all right.
That's fun.
Well,
one more big shout out to our sponsor, Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies. Thank you so much for your wonderful patronage of this program. And if you
that means lights out, right?
Well, one more thing. If you enjoyed our show, please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts.
Yes.
And with that, I think
lights out.
It's time for Lights Out.